Ooh, honey, come quick. The SEC and Big Ten are ruining college football again.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello there, Bears fans. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Baylor, brought to you by FanDuel, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. I'm your host, Cam Stuart of ESPN Central Texas and The Cam Show on YouTube. Appreciate you guys joining in once again. Be sure, of course, to like, subscribe. Helps me keep my job, keeps me on the air every day. On today's show, we are talking about the new proposed college football playoff format because we gave the 12-team thing a shot, and I think we all saw it and thought we need more SEC and Big Ten teams in there. How is this going to affect Baylor and the Big 12? Plus, on the basketball side of things, are we sleeping on the local kid? He went kind of under the radar when he entered in the transfer portal, but he might be a huge piece for Scott Drew's team this year and make us all proud. And also, how do we make McLane Stadium great again? I need your help with that one. All that and more coming up on this episode of Locked On Baylor. We start with the college football playoff. I loved the college football playoff this year. I did. I don't know about you guys. I really liked the 12-team playoff. And if there's one thing I've noticed in life as I get older, is that you need to give things a shot. Okay? Like my first show on Locked On Baylor did not get 10,000 views, right? And like 3 have gotten that since. But you can't just run in and just have the audience, have the people, or any job that you do. You're not going to walk right in and know everything right away. You know, I imagine that when you have a kid, you get pretty sick of the late nights and everything. But after a while, you get used to it and you realize it's awesome to have a kid. You know, like things take some time to get used to. And after 1 year of the 12-team playoff, the powers that be, being the Big Ten and the SEC, are saying, yeah, you know what? They don't really want to do that anymore. We didn't like that. We want it to be 16 teams. And what have I said from day one about the expansion of the college football playoff and the NCAA tournament? I'll remind you. From day one, I've said, look, in theory, it sounds great for the little guy, but it's not going to be for the little guy. Any expansion is going to be for the SEC teams or the Big Ten teams, or maybe in the basketball case, maybe some Big 12 teams that just missed it. You know, like if we expanded the NCAA tournament, you know, last year in 2024, it wouldn't be for Indiana State. It would be for Oklahoma or for Texas or whomever. You know, name your Power 4 program that was right on the outside looking in. If we're doing this for the college football playoff, it's not for Fresno State. It's not for Liberty. It's for Alabama and for Ole Miss. That's what you are serving by doing that. And of course, we're not surprised by this, but we've now let it, like we as the NCAA collectively has let it get to the point where we have no choice. The SEC and the Big Ten hold all the cards. And with this new layout that they're looking at, they want a 16-team playoff. They want the SEC and the Big Ten to make up exactly half of it. 4 bids per. And then the Big 12 and the ACC will get 2, and the group of 6 will get 1 each, which leaves still a couple of wild cards. Who do you think that's going to? Think that's going to the 3rd place Big 12 team? Or do you think that's going to the 5th place SEC team? Like, just take a stab at it. Take a shot in the dark. What do you think? It's silly, and I think it eliminates a lot of good things about college football. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. Brett Yormark, too, because he was quoted in the story by Ross Dellinger. He said, I like the 12-team format. I love it. Whether we go to 14 or expand the field, I don't know. And obviously, it'll be a decision amongst the management committee. As it relates to the automatic qualifiers, and I've been on the record saying this, I don't want an artificial championship. I want people to earn their way in. I don't want it being predetermined, which I think is a great point by Brett Yormark. And I think it brings us to the original, the original grievance here. If this is the path that we're going to go down, why don't we just go back to the BCS? I did not think when we implemented the college football playoff in 2014 that within a little over a decade, we'd be saying that, and that being a real better possibility than what they're about to lay out. Because like we were trying to get away from this with the playoff. We were trying to get away from the computers and the conference bias. Like that's what we were all trying to get away from. And how many points you should win by and what's a good loss. And we've gotten so bass backwards that we're needing to go back to the BCS format, I think. You know what I mean? Like now we're not having teams figure it out on the field. We're not having teams earn their way in. We're saying, oh, this fifth place SEC team, they lost pretty close to Alabama, and they lost pretty close to Georgia, and they were within 2 touchdowns of Ole Miss. They lost all those games, and the App State team that's ranked 18th is 12-0 and won their conference, or finished second in their conference, because that wouldn't fit my narrative here. But we don't want them going in. No, I mean, look at how tight this Kentucky team played Missouri. That's where we've totally lost the plot. And this deal sucks for the Big 12. Sucks. It is such a spit in the face of this conference to say, yeah, we're going to take twice as many teams as you, at least, no matter how good your conference is. And that stinks for the Big 12. And by the way, if you do this, if you sign your name on the dotted line, Brett Yormark, and say, yeah, we'll take the 2 automatic qualifiers, then what is the buildup for? Why is there a Big 12 championship game if both those teams are just going to be in? Well, maybe you get a bye out of it, maybe. Team that won the national championship this year didn't need a bye. But it all goes back to the fragile ego of the SEC and the Big Ten. The Big Ten had the national champion this year. They had him back-to-back. In the SEC, like, they're still bitching that they don't, that like the top 4 seeds are the conference champions. Like, they can't get over the fact that Texas needed to play a game before they played Arizona State. And what I don't get about that is, like, you won. Texas won the game. They beat the Big 12 champion. Like, why at all does it matter that they had to play a play-in game? Like, this is what that's all for. To separate the men from the boys. We'll play it on the field. And if you're really that much better, you'll go and beat the conference champion in the Big 12. And they did. But that's not good enough for them. They're so terrified that the committee would vote in like a Coastal Carolina over a 5th or 6th place SEC team. I'm sorry. If you're finishing 5th in your conference, I don't care how good the conference is, you shouldn't be in the college football playoff. Win some of your friggin' games. Beat some good teams. And you won't be 5th in the conference. It's just one after the other. And like 1 year of this. 1 year. And they're like, no, sorry. We need to get Ole Miss and Alabama in there. Need to. It's just such a joke, man. Like, we shouldn't have had Tennessee in there last year. Look, I mean, they got destroyed in that first round on campus in Columbus. Like that, of course, but we can't talk about that. We can't talk about that. We just need to talk about how SMU got embarrassed too. And so now the ACC can only have 2 teams, even though that was their 2nd team. No more than that. We don't want this thing to get crazy. We don't want FCS teams getting in there. It's such a sham, man. And again, it's like, let's play that out. Let's play that out that there's a 16-team playoff. And these other conferences, you can have the 3rd place team in the Big 12 be, 10-2, have a couple of ranked wins, be ranked inside the top 25, and they're sweating it out to see if they're going to get picked over, a 6th place Missouri team, a 5th place Missouri team. Like, I'm sorry that I know college football is not the way we remember it a few years ago, but that's not college football. That's not why we did this. And to make it even worse, they're trying to take away conference championship games from you as well. because they're like, oh, we heard you. We're going to do this. Let's play it out thing. The interleague play-in games, which is their substitute, what's going to be their substitute for conference championship games, where the top two teams in that Big Ten or SEC are automatically in, and then we duke it out, 3 through 6 on who that next team's going to be. Once again, anointing these other teams in there. That's something they took straight out of English soccer's book, by the way. This great American sport is taking it out of the English soccer book so that they can say, no, look, we played it out. We found our 3rd and 4th place team, or our 4th place team, however they're going to do it, by these guys duking it out, 3 through 6 or 4 through 7 or whatever. But then once again, I say, if you're still following me here, let's say that's how they do it. And, the 6th-seeded team ends up getting the 4th spot. Well, then the 4th-seeded team that was going in, you'll look at their resume and say, well, it's better than West Virginia's. It's better than Miami. They lost it on the field, but look, I mean, they played Michigan pretty tight. They took Auburn to overtime. That's what we're going to get into, rather than that 3rd place Big 12 team or that 3rd place ACC team. It's just ridiculous. And if I wanted to say the real words, then you wouldn't be able to listen to this podcast around kids. But they're once again trying to ruin it, and it's just not fun for anybody at that point. And Brett Yormark is an absolute fool if the Big 12 signs off on this. No way. This is like, no, I'll take my chances. Let's leave the meter running. I'll take my chances that my 3rd place team is going to be better than your 5th place team. I'd like to play this out, and I'd like to keep the buys, because that's going to be the thing that goes away if you sign this deal as well. Anyway, that was a long first segment. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. We're still reacting to this from this Ross Dellinger report from the end of the week of what it would look like as a 16-team playoff and how bad that would be for the Big 12. And dare I say it, how bad it would be for college football. If that's if the alternative, if our two options are the BCS and the 16-team playoff, give me the BCS. Just give me the BCS. Let's make some of these other bowl games matter a little bit again. And let's make this somehow, let's go back to the BCS and make this more simple. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Helps me keep my job. We're on the path towards 4,000 subscribers, and we need your help. We are on the fast track, but we need your help. So like and subscribe. Find us wherever you find your podcasts as well. Locked On Baylor rolls on. We're going to talk about some of the new kids coming in to the Scott Drew team and why the most valuable one, the one who flew under the radar most, was right under our noses the whole time. That's coming up next on Locked On Baylor. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our old friends over at FanDuel. Okay, the playoffs are here. And guys, there is no better place to be in the NBA playoffs than in the building. Every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and to win big. Think about it. What would it look like to combine live prop bets mid-game based on how the action's actually going? How could a $200 bonus in bets add to the excitement if your first $5 bet hits? I can think of a lot of different ways, okay? And if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. And if that wins, you heard me, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. So make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Running it back here on Locked On Baylor. I'm your host, Cam Stuart of ESPN Central Texas. We're talking about Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears on the hardwood. We've gone through basically everybody on the roster here that they've added in this spring, and we will continue to do so until we tip the ball off in November, because there's still a lot we need to learn about these players, about this team, about this new coaching staff, somewhat new coaching staff, and how it's all going to gel for Scott Drew in 2025-26. I think we all hope better than this past year, but that might be wishful thinking. We had Jackson Posey on a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. He's finishing up finals and stuff. He's a busy guy. But he has broken down film of all of these guys. He's super optimistic. Too optimistic? I don't know. That's for you to decide. But one guy we didn't really get to talk about the last time he was on that he really likes and was talking to me afterwards about how much he likes this player is Caden Powell of Rice, formerly of Rice and Wyoming, formerly also of Midway High School in Hewitt. Waco native, mom works at the law school at Baylor, and now he's kind of fulfilling this full circle coming home moment. He's going to play for the Baylor Bears this year. And it was one that flew under the radar because I think a lot of people see it and they say, Rice has a basketball program? Could have fooled me. Could have fooled me as well. You know, he comes in with only, I think, 1 year of eligibility remaining. He's not a name that you had heard of. Obviously, if he had been a football star at Midway, we all would have heard of him, but he wasn't. He was a basketball star. And so this was one that you're like, yeah, okay, sure. You got a guy, his mom works at Baylor. That's great. Good local tie. But what I think you got out of it is a diamond in the rough. Because I watched Caden Powell's highlights, and he's something that Baylor hasn't had in a long time, actually. He's pretty much a back to the basket kind of guy, post scorer. And you don't see a lot of that anymore at Baylor because you don't see a lot of it in basketball anymore. Centers are out shooting threes. Like look at Norchad. They're out shooting threes. They're trying to become more like wing guys. You're seeing a lot of positionless basketball, but what Caden Powell is a throwback center. So there's a lot of you that watch Baylor basketball all the time and that listen to this podcast that are going to love that. I don't mean that in a bad way. You're going to be like, okay, this feels more like the basketball that we're used to, right? I don't have my 7-footer out there chucking up threes. And I wonder how that fits in the Big 12, which is obviously a super physical league. He's an athletic big man. He's not like I see a lot of the game that Jonathan Chama-Chachua could bring you before the injury, and he actually became a decent three-point shooter without quite as much athleticism. He's an athletic kid, and he's strong. He's sturdy. He's not quite the athlete that Jonathan Chama-Chachua was. I don't know that Baylor's ever had one at that position other than him and Misi that were like that. But he's a guy you can give the ball to in the low post and just say, Caden, go to work. Get us a basket. Norchad could do that to a certain extent. Misi could do that to a certain extent. But again, with the athleticism that was off the charts, he was really good at, cutting and slashing and getting the ball going towards the basket. But Caden Powell is like, all right, mid-block, low block. Here's the ball, buddy. One-on-one, we've cleared out some space. Go to work. And really, Baylor hasn't had that since, I would go back as far as Jonathan Motley, who I'm not saying he's going to be Jonathan Motley. Jonathan Motley was an All-American. Tristan Clark, a little bit when he was healthy as well. And I would say similar athleticism to Tristan Clark's probably a better example. Tristan Clark. Similar athleticism, sturdy defensively. And you match him with someone like Jocelyn Bodo. I don't know how much they're going to be on the floor at the same time. But if you do, that's like a do not come in here kind of paint. Like truly. If you can run a double big and they're athletic enough to stay on the floor, I can go up and down the floor, both ends. Like that is going to be lethal for Baylor. And Jocelyn Bodo from High Point, I mean, by not talking about him most episodes, I'm soft selling him. Like this was a back-to-back conference defensive player of the year kind of guy, best defensive rating in the conference, best block percentage in the conference, best rebound percentage in the conference, a mid-major conference. I know. Same with Caden Powell, who was number one in offensive efficiency in that conference that they play in, that Rice plays in, that I know is obviously the American or Conference USA, one of them. But these guys were, pretty damn good at their level. These are guys who, were, and especially Jocelyn Bodo, like that's a guy who could have easily been the player of the year in his conference, not just the defensive player of the year. And when that guy wins conference player of the year, we welcome them with open arms. Saw it with Ray J. Dennis. Saw it with DeQuan Finn on the football side. Weirdly, both from the same school. And you're like, okay, he's mid-major, but look, he won the conference player of the year. And we didn't say that with Bodo and with Caden Powell, but both those guys come in with all kinds of upside. And their play style is going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see how they fit into the rotation. I think they're both. I don't know if either will start. I haven't gone down like who's going to start at where, but they will both get significant playing time and significant roles in this team. And I think Caden Powell might be the one that we've let kind of slide under the radar a little bit. But let me know what you think in the comment section below, or tweet at us at Locked On Baylor. Find us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, of course. And subscribe, because it really means a lot to me if you didn't subscribe after the first one. Anyway, we will roll on. Let's get back to football, because this is one that's a hot button topic for Baylor fans. How do we make McLane Stadium a great atmosphere? How do we make Baylor fandom great again? Let's talk about that next on Locked On Baylor. But first, let me ask you a question. I think you know it's coming. You ever look at that bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Dining out, online shopping, entertainment, new Sailor Bear gear. It's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, and it gives you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, even plan those long-term goals. And if you're managing money with a partner, it's now smoother than ever. You can track those shared and the personal accounts. You can set goals together, and you can stay on the same page without the normal stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDON, COLLEGE, for half off your first year. Running it back, Locked On Baylor. I saw this article on Sikkim 365. I believe it was Colt Barber who wrote it. I don't have a subscription, so I didn't read the whole thing. And I almost didn't want to, because I was like, I want to go in here as not trying to be researched. I want to go in here not trying to be the smartest guy in the room, because I'm going to lean on you guys, this great community that we have at Locked On Baylor. And the article was all about trying to make McLane a great atmosphere again. And it's been a real kind of source of attrition the last couple of years amongst Baylor fans, that McLane just has not had the energy that it needs to have. Specifically the back half of last year, when you had one of the hottest teams in America. They started coming out more, but it needs to be more consistent. And I don't mean to be like the back in my day guy, but I started at Baylor in 2015, which was right after they had won back-to-back Big 12 championships. Art was still the coach. That was his last year, obviously. And the place was bananas every game. I didn't know any better. You know, I was a kid from Massachusetts who hadn't seen real big-time college football. And every time game day came around, home game, Saturday, there was nowhere else to be. I've said it on this podcast a few times before in the past. There were 3 big times of the week. Okay. It was Monday at 4:00 when the student tickets went on sale and everything on the campus stopped because you were terrified that you weren't going to get a ticket. Thursday or Friday afternoon, and now I don't escapes me which one it is. They would announce the uniform combo, and everybody had that notification alert ready to go. And then third on that list was kickoff at McLane Stadium, a very close third. It was all that was the whole week. And even in those next 2 years, 16, they obviously had Jim Grobe. It was the same way. They sold out a bunch. The student section was always packed out, unless it was 150 degrees the first game of the year. No one was leaving early. It was awesome. And we have lost our way. And I know that's been a big point of contention for Baylor fans in all sports, but specifically football over the last few years. And so now I come to you guys with a question. How does it get better? Because not to lick anything on the Baylor fan engagement side, but they did a good job, I thought, last year, especially in the back half of the year. You know, they had memes on the scoreboard. Like they did less of the charity champions for life kind of stuff. They brought less events out on the field. Like they did more sing-alongs and more hype videos. And like there was a concerted effort there. I do believe that. I saw it with my own eyes. I was at every home game. But there's still more to be done. And I just don't know what that looks like from a fan engagement standpoint. I never have. That's why I try not to talk about it too much, because I don't have a great solution for it. But I would love to hear your guys' solution, like genuinely. Let me know in the comments on YouTube and tweet at us at Locked On Baylor, because I think these are things that usually happen organically. And Max Garner on Twitter put this really well. Obviously, former Baylor baseball player, great Baylor fan, great Baylor tailgater, Max Garner, put this really well as I try to pull the tweet up here about kind of what this comes down to. Of course, I didn't save the tweet, so I got to pull it up real quick. About what this kind of whole issue is. And it's the same thing for basketball, maybe basketball especially. But he said this about it. Most of this boils down to Baylor fans needing to step back up and be supportive from the get-go. And when they lose, you still sell out the next week. We have a tough butt schedule and a great group of returners. Let's sell out every home game. And that is really what this comes down to. Like, Baylor fans need to be better. And I'm not saying that about Scotty B or T-Rex or, you guys who are there at every game. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about, your friend who only goes to 2 games a year, or your Phi Chi brother who leaves, every game to get the keg for Super 8 later. Like that's what we need to fix. We need people to watch Baylor one week, see them lose, and say, oh, you know what? I'll still go next week. Or not. We need people that don't say, oh, it's the end of September. It's still 90 degrees. I'm not going to go. We need less of that. We need people more invested in this thing. It's possible. People that don't root for this team or weren't here 10 years ago will tell you it's not possible. They're wrong. It is possible. We saw it through the RG3 years, through the back-to-back Big 12 championship years. We saw it in 2021. Baylor has shown you when they're good, they can get people out here. Baylor is going to be good. But what we need is for them to not be perfect and for us to still be there. That's what we need. That's what this all boils down to. And again, I don't mean to say that everything is great going on over there, like in fan engagement. I know they've had a rough past, but I think they're trying. I really do. I really think they put in a concerted effort to make that a better atmosphere. It's now up to the fan base to stick it out. Would it help if they sold beers at the game? Yeah, I think it would. But we can't hold our breath for that. What we need is a fan base that gives a crap week in, week out, no matter how good or how bad they are. And I know there's some fans that are like that. There's a portion of the fan base that's like that. We need it to be way bigger than that. We need it to be way bigger. Okay? Because, at West Virginia, they don't care how good the team is. At South Carolina, they don't care how good the team is. At Mississippi State, they don't care how good the team is. At Tech, they don't care how good the team is. In football, anyway. They show up. They're there. And we need Baylor to be more like that in that sense and that sense alone. Those teams don't win conference championships in football. We need to be unlike them in that. Anyway. But seriously, I need your suggestions. I would love to find some good ones, read them off in the next show. Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Of course, we're coming to you 5 days a week, bringing you nothing but Baylor sports content. The only place that's doing that is not directly affiliated with the university. I'm your host, Cam Stuart. Thank you again for making it your first listen today and every day. We will see you tomorrow, hopefully reading off some of those comments on your favorite show, Locked On Baylor.